I'm really frustrated and I don't know how to put it into words, but yeah, I know that nationalists, Trump supporters are always going to have more sympathy and more power, and like their feelings and their lives are just going to matter infinitely more than mine will. And that's just kind of the political, economic, and social environment that like I'm forced to live with in my whole life. Eh, a lot of like people caring about me has come through great risk, right? Like through me coming out, so to speak, as like undocumented and a sex worker. Um, that carries risk in and of itself, but like having to speak out about that under like great danger is how I get people to listen and maybe change their mind, or, support people that they haven't been able to visibly see before. But with like nationalists or Trump supporters, it's different. It's different because they have no reason to fear. They already have voting rights. They have working rights. They have, they were just born with these rights that I don't have and that are currently in danger right now. My parents are going to lose their right to work next year in 2020, because TPS for Honduras, was eliminated by Trump, and they're trying to fight back against it, but I don't know what's gonna happen. So like my whole family's life is in danger right now. um I've been trying not to think about it because it's just something that's like really sensitive. Obviously, like my parents aren't going to be able to work, and they've lived here for like over 2 decades now, and they have a house to pay for, and they have to, support my little sisters, um, who still can't provide for themselves. They're just teenagers in high school. And just to kind of see the kind of attention that they get. Like, first of all, if you're like a right winger on YouTube, you already have like the algorithm working for you, and they have like a whole community of like hateful bigots that will just like retweet them, right? So yeah, that's like what I'm seeing is this like right winger who's like talking about how discriminated and bullied she was because she was a Trump supporter, which is not bullying, by the way. Bullying is different. Bullying is like a horrific thing that happens to some people. Someone might develop a personal vendetta against you, or chooses to discriminate against you because you're a whore, or you're poor, or like you're just not cool, whatever. But people being your friend and then finding out that you have really hateful political views, and deciding not to be friends with you because of your political affiliations and like what you vote for and like the consequences of those policies. That's not bullying. That's someone judging you based on your character. And the thing is that fascists are human beings. Fascists are, they can cry, they can bleed, they have feelings, they have families, they probably like the same pizza you do and the same TV shows, and, they have complex thoughts about why they believe the things that they do, and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, people are being persecuted unfairly as a result of their policies. State power is increasing, and people are being killed because of their policies. It's really not that nuanced. It's really not that complicated. It isn't. It's not. And they are hoping that you are going to sympathize with them more based on the fact that you're similar in terms of citizenship and in terms of the color of your skin, things like that. They're hoping that you'll care about that more than try to humanize the people that they're persecuting. Because I don't think that's like what we're getting at here, right? So Do you have any idea? It's not even like about being a Trump supporter, really, but I was undocumented since I was 6, and I grew up in the U.S. since I was 6 years old, and I grew up having people in my life think that I was a citizen. Like all my teachers, all my counselors, all my fellow peers thought that I was a citizen. But that led to a point where people were comfortable talking to me about how much they hated illegals and what they wanted to do with them and what they wanted the military to do with us and what they wanted the state to do with us. And they wanted our pain and suffering. Some of them wanted us to die. Like some of the people that like were copying off of my answers at school or that I was eating lunch with, we were just hanging out, like would suddenly go on a rant to me about like those illegals and how we just need to be eliminated, so that we don't cause problems, right? Like that was supposed to be the solution, was just to kill us off. Not all of them wanted our deaths, but like it was very obvious that like our pain and suffering meant nothing and that we deserved it. And this caused a lot of mental trauma growing up, and it was something that I could never go to anyone for help. Even to this day, like I can't go to a therapist and talk about this. I can't, I can't. Like I've gone to therapists that are Trump supporters. That's how bad it is. Like I don't feel safe anywhere. And it's really like upsetting to me that like they get so much sympathy. They have a whole community of Trump supporters who have like a victim complex of like, I'm actually being persecuted because, people hate my guts because I'm like a horrible person. And that like everyone's supposed to feel sorry for them. And it really breaks my heart when like there's, because there's like a lot of leftists that like think these people can be changed for whatever reason. I don't know why. And they literally will waste their time talking to them and like being friends with them. And for me, I don't feel safe around that. Like how can I feel safe around you knowing that like you are like talking to these people and humanizing them in your spare time, like that you're friends with them, like that you're really close friends with them, and they're just over here like being retweeted by white supremacists because like that's their audience. So like everyone who's retweeting them and everyone in their comments is like Pepe the Frog and like white supremacy shit. Like that's their audience, that's who they are, those are their friends. And like they're not really being bullied. Like the people who are like, oh, I feel so sorry for you, I don't really care. I don't really care that people hate me. Don't care. They don't care. Like it actually feeds into their ego, like to not have friends. Like they're not losing anything they really care about, like at all. They don't care. As a result of these policies, I could be deported. I could lose my home. I could lose my family. I could lose my right to work. These people won't have that. Like the worst thing they'll ever experience is they might say some really racist shit and they'll be fired from a job. And that's it. Like people think that like that's such a huge consequence. It isn't. It's not a huge consequence. It's not. It feels bad when it initially happens, but you move on. It's really not that big of a deal. I've lost jobs before. I've been fired before. Yeah, it sucks when it happens, but like you get over it. It's really not that big of a deal. You know what really sucks? Losing your right to work. That sucks. Not having the right to work, that sucks too. I've had both situations. I grew up not knowing that I wasn't going to have the right to work. And then I was able to get it. But even now that I have it, it's temporary. It is temporary for only 2 years. And that is like my existence. It's something that they're never going to have to experience. These people could literally go out, commit a hate crime tomorrow, and still have the right to work the next day. Right? Like, as soon as they get out of prison, right? If they even serve time, which they probably won't, they will still have citizenship and the right to work. There is the consequences for being a fascist, for being a Nazi, is so small and like teeny itty bitty bitty compared to the damage that they do. Because they destroy millions of people's lives. They are actively supporting policy that is leading to the deaths and incarceration of millions of people. That's actually what they do. And they're going to make it worse. They're going to cause more deaths. They're going to vote for more deaths. That's what they're going to do. They're going to vote for more imperialism. They're going to vote for killing more migrants in prisons. They don't care. They're like really horrific people. And nothing's really going to happen to them. You know, like they are going to cause all this damage. And they'll never admit that they've done anything wrong or that anything that they've supported is horrible. Like, you're just supposed to be friends with them and like them and worship them and call them victims. And they don't have to do shit. This is like, being a Trump supporter and being a white nationalist is the easy route in life. It just is. It is so easy because that's what our system is based off of. And I guess I'm just tired because obviously I know that people in this country who tend to be white and who are a part of the system and stuff, like those are the kinds of people they relate to more. They don't relate to people like me. They don't understand people like me. And trying to listen to people like me and humanize us is kind of like a burden for them. So like they feel more comfortable supporting white supremacists basically and being friends with them and trying to convert them and having disagreements with them, which is fine. It's fine. But like it's not fine. Like, it's so fucked up because it's like, these are people that that like used to be Trump supporters and white nationalists that didn't want to have anything to do with people like me when they were like that, right? Like, they hated people like me. They hated migrants. And they didn't know anything about people like me. And they still don't. But, they're totally fine. Even after they converted to left wing, still talking to these people. So it's their sympathy only goes one way. It only goes to white supremacists. It never goes towards people like me. Even when they become left wing. Like, it's really heartbreaking. Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna go back to sleep.